Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. We ask for those who have a cell phone or pager, if you could turn it to the silent mode. Officiating today will be Rabbi Gershon Schaffel. He'll be speaking from the Cohen room in a couple of moments.
We gather today to give kavod acharon, our final respects, to our dear friend, wife, mother, grandmother, sister, to a large community and a family that loved her dearly. Begin with Yossi, a beloved husband, her daughter Shayna Garfield, together with her husband Larry, daughter Aliza Weiner, together with her husband Elazar, her son Zev Steinberg, together with his spouse Sapir Steinberg, and their daughter Lotem Bracha, as well as a beloved stepmother to Tamar Steinberg, and her children, Yossi Fleischer, Carmi Fleischer, Benzi Fleischer, and her siblings, Nancy Levenglick, and her brother, Harry Michael Wolfson. Linda was born in Delaware in 1954, older sister Nancy, and 3 years later, a younger brother, Harry Michael. Her family moved a few times when she was a child, and it was hard for her to make and keep friends. And this is why she held fast to the ones that she made as an adult. She graduated from Stern College and Brown College with a degree in early childhood education and a minor in art therapy. She always had a passion for helping young minds grow and did everything she could to support anybody she came across. Through the randomness of life and the brachas of Hashem, Linda ended up at an educational conference in 1984 in San Francisco, where Yossi was collecting unpaid bills. While Linda was from New York and Yossi was from Milwaukee, and while he noticed the woman with crayon barrettes in her hair, it was Linda who approached him. After only a year of knowing each other, Yossi and Linda married in 1985, though they were not able to live together until 3 months later, after she finished the school year. This was important to her, as she was the teacher. Linda moved from her skyscraper forest of New York to the tree and crop-filled area of Milwaukee. And about a year later, they moved to Chicago and had Shayna, Aliza, and Zev. In Chicago, Linda put her passion to good use and taught at the Bernard Horowitz JCC as an early childhood educator. She employed all of her educational skills to teach over a decade of young minds. She stood up for them in what was right. Eventually, she left and taught at the college level. Her last job was being one of the owners of a painting store, Dugma Designs. It was here that she really enjoyed letting her creativity flow. Linda painted, drew, and even sculpted. Eventually, Dugma closed, but Linda kept her hours filled with continuing to learn various parts of Tanakh, painting more, and supporting her husband with his computer business. Her passion for Hashem, learning Tanakh, and her love of Yossi kept her life filled with love and light. But eventually, her multiple sclerosis won, and she died this past Friday. May her story continue as an inspiration for her children, her husband, and everyone here. On Motzei Shabbos, when I was by the house with Yossi, so obviously you could see an immense amount of pain in his face. And one of the things which they commented about was the difficulty Friday night before Kiddush, when he got to the paragraph of C.A.J.E, which normally he would sing, and he very much connected with his beautiful wife, Linda, at that moment at the beginning of Shabbos, with the peace and the serenity of Shabbos, in the love that they shared with one another. And he said that he just couldn't get himself through it. He's not sure what he was going to do, how he was going to handle it moving forward. But I think that there are passages there which are extremely poignant and capture Linda's life just beautifully. Eishes chal miyimtza, that you have a beautiful, powerful woman, v'rachok mipnini michra, far beyond pearls is her worth. There were many conversations that I had with Linda over the years. Usually it was around Yom Kippur time, or around Pesach time, Yom Noraim, where Linda would want to know which parts of davening should she stand for and which should she sit. And I would tell her all the time, Linda, just sit. It's not the big deal. Halachically, it's okay. It's hard for you to stand. It's difficult to get up, to get back down. Just sit down. It's fine. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to hear you just the same. After a while, I gave up because she was much stronger than I was. And she was adamant that she was going to stand at the parts where she needed to stand. And as difficult as that was, she felt that by standing and connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, connecting to God in that way, that she was going to fight it out. She was going to put all of her strength into what she was doing, and she was not going to compromise at all. And I spent so much time talking to her before Yom Kippur. Linda, don't fast. You can't fast. It's not for you. It's something that would not be healthy for you. And she wasn't going to hear any of it. She wanted to know exactly how much could she eat, how much could she drink, how often, how frequently, all of the details. We made elaborate schedules, exactly how she was going to manage it, because she was an Eishes Chayil. She was a mighty warrior who was not going to allow her illness and her condition to impact in any way negatively her avodas Hashem. Batach balev bala. Her husband's heartfelt trust in her, v'shalo lo yachzar, and he shall lack for nothing. And this is something which so captures the relationship between Yossi and Linda, the love that they had for one another, their ability to work with one another. And Yossi is such a devoted husband to her. When they would come into shul, by the time Linda was coming in a wheelchair, she didn't arrive without noise. People were aware of their entrance, and Yossi went in and he set her up and he made sure that she was ready to daven, and she had her siddur and she had her chumash, and everything was set so that she could participate to the degree possible. And with that, only after that, would Yossi then settle into his seat on the men's side, distributing candy and making sure that he was set where he was, but only after everything was put in place for Linda. Gemalasu tovalora. And all she wanted to do was bestow good upon him in nothing bad, kol yemei chayeha, for the entire duration of her life. And that was the nature and the character of the relationship, a giving, loving relationship where each one wanted nothing more than to make sure that the other was taken care of and their needs were there. And as we'll hear in a moment, kamu vanevi Yashua, her children arise and they praise her. Bala v'halala, her husband, and he lauds her. And as much as Yossi, we talked about this also Motzei Shabbos, as much as he wanted very much to be able to describe the relationship, his love and his relationship, the love of his life, in the relationship they have, he felt that it was going to be too difficult. It's too painful now. It's too raw, the pain. And he set aside and he said he's going to allow the children, Baneh v'Yashua, her children will stand up and they will praise her. Rabos banos asuchayil. Many people have accomplished a lot. Vat alis al kulana. But with your limitations, the amount which you accomplish is something which is mind-boggling to consider how much you were able to do and the commitment that you had and the perseverance you demonstrated to be able to continue your avodas Hashem in your studies and your attention to your family. Sheker hachein vehevel hayofi, grace is false and beauty is vain. Isha yiras Hashem hisisalal. It's a woman who has yiras Hashem, a woman who has awe and reverence for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is a person who should be praised. For many years, as long as Linda still had the strength, following the Yom Tovim, Yortzeit is right before Sukkot, but following that, she prepared a Dvar Torah. And she delivered the Dvar Torah, Shalosh Shudas, and it was something that I looked forward to each and every year because she always had an interesting insight. She always had an interesting way of looking at things, something that I hadn't thought of before. It was well compiled, it was well structured, and it was always something which is so wonderful, and it was such a sad time for me, and I know for others in shul, when she didn't have the strength to be able to do that anymore. But that bespeaks her yiras Hashem, the fear of God, the reverence and the awe of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the love that she had of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which really defined who she was. Tenula mipri yadeha, and we have no doubt that we're going to give to her the fruits of her hand, what she created, what she accomplished over the course of her lifetime. All of those fruits will continue to bear fruit for generations and generations to come. And people will continue to praise her actions and what she did in the friendship and the love which she was so important to so many people in the gates and communities and shuls around the community and around the world. Now we're going to call upon the children who are going to be maspid. First, it's going to be Shayna is going to speak first, then Aliza, followed by Zev. And when Zev finishes speaking, so I will make the kelmale, and then they will call up the pallbearers.
I had it all together until Rabbi Schaffel spoke, so. I literally have no idea where to start. Do I move in chronological order and start with her childhood? Do I start with choices that shaped her, like meeting my father? Do I start with her passion as an artist, being a Jew, being a teacher? Do I start with me and her and stories of her as a mom, like how she wrote a lullaby for me? I don't know where to start, so I hope you'll all bear with me as I meander. I met my mom on July 6th, 1987, but the first memories I have of her are going to the J with her as a child. I got to go with her to where the grown-ups were and felt so cool about it. She taught at the J for most of her teaching career. She was passionate about helping young minds grow and flourish. She had pictures up in her office to this day of some of the amazing structures the students managed to build with blocks, and she loved teaching them about what it meant to be Jewish. All of us children, received some of the teaching benefits of her as our mom. She spent a whole summer teaching me how to spell would, could, and should. Though her plans were loftier than that, she was still proud when the middle school summer ended and we reached that goal. She realized that my sister would learn best while being active, so helped her learn her multiplication tables by doing somersaults down the hallway. And she helped my brother with any cooking by being his first taste tester, always ready with suggestions. Though when it came to food and kitchen, she and my father would often clash with each other as they both wanted to cook, especially to bring in Shabbos. My mother's tomato sauce with pasta and tuna casserole were Tuesday and Thursday's dinners, respectively. But actually, the first kitchen-related thing that I remember is a story my parents would tell me about being in the kitchen while she was pregnant with me, and my mom kept asking him, kept poking him, kept being a nudge, trying to see if he remembered anything from his first wife's pregnancy and labor. She poked him so much that he walked out, and she proceeded to waddle after him, continuing to ask questions. And when she was pregnant with my sister, he turned to her and asked what she remembered, with "shut up" being the only answer she could give. My mother loved my father to the moon and back. She saw him make people laugh while collecting their bills at a conference in San Francisco when she was from New York and he was from Milwaukee. They only dated for a year before marrying, and she was delighted with that choice. Through her last day, every day she woke up and chose him with a smile. That smile, that energy, is what led her through life. It powered her when she fought with the powers that be and got the women a Sefer Torah to dance with at Or Torah for Simchat Torah when I was a child. It sustained her through all the trials and tribulations of her MS diagnosis. It warmed everyone that came to Dugma Designs when she was there. It was what powered her through hardships and frustrations. It was with her every bit, as she learned every bit of Torah, which was a lot. She was a knowledge powerhouse, and it sustained her till the end. And while right now we are filled with pain, I would like to share words she used many years ago to comfort my brother. She wrote, these are literally the words she typed, and I got them last night, so they fit perfectly. I was fairly terrified of what life might bring. Still now, every day of my life, I live with that same fear, but it is coupled with complete bitachon and emunah that even when I hate what happens, and even when I am furious with God for his decisions, and they seem totally inexplicable and unjustifiable in my limited human mind, still and always, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. I love you, Iman, you will be missed.
My sister's a much better speaker than I am, so bear with me. My mother was an amazing person who always lit up a room with her smile. Was never afraid to stand up for what was right, especially when it came to her children and education. Many people, including her sister Nancy, has said, I have her smile and I could not be more proud. The last few years, my mom chose to live her life just the way she would have wanted. At noon, she would get up in the morning and she would start right away davening. And if I called her on Friday and it was too early, she wouldn't answer me because davening was the priority. Then, after davening, she would start right to yutorah.com and start listening to Dvar Torahs. And after that, at around 8 p.m., when my father came home, they would, without fail, every night, sit down for dinner and eat together. And after that, it would start with Netflix. And that would be her day, enjoying exactly how she wanted, starting out with Hashem and then enjoying with her husband and family. My mother taught me to love Hashem and see him in every moment of every day. I would call her and say hi on Erev Shabbos and tell her that I love her. And she would say, I'm sorry, I'm davening. Or my father would tell me that, and I'd have to call back. My love of music comes from walking into the house after school, and there was always music playing, from the Beatles to Debbie Friedman or Mordechai Ben David, and so much more. The home felt lively, warm, and inviting. As my mom was an educator with a master's degree in early childhood education, she had so much to share. When I attended college, I remember calling my parents after class and not understanding how someone could not hand in their homework on time or raise their hand in class if they disagreed with the professor to ask for clarification. These were just some of the important mitos that my mother stood for and taught me. I struggled academically in school, while my siblings did not. And I remember very vividly, I would come home, I would eat dinner, and I would start my homework right away with my mom's help. She would never do it for me. She was always there to support. And by 10 o'clock, we were done with I would never finish. And it didn't matter because my mother would always say, you did your best, and that was important. And then she would write a note to my teacher and say, Aliza stayed and did her homework and worked hard, and we didn't complete it, and that's okay, and you can come call me if she didn't finish her homework. It's not going to happen. I gained the skills and confidence to go to college and take it at my pace while working full-time and graduating with honors because of the confidence and the young woman that I became, all because of my mother. I could not be more proud to have learned the skills from a woman who loved me every day and lived her life the way she wanted. I am a second daughter of a second daughter of a second daughter of a second daughter, and I have big shoes to fill. If I could be half a mother my mother was, I would be more than happy. She taught me to love myself. And as long as I tried my best, that was okay, and that was good enough. My mother gave me the confidence to be successful in life and work in a Jewish agency, helping others, and I could not be more proud. I love you, Ima, and you will be missed. She's no longer in pain and stuck in that body. She gets to be with Hashem and enjoy learning Torah every day. Thank you.
Abba, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I had dreamed I had a couple more years until I'd have to write or say something like this. But as always, man plans and God laughs. My mother, Linda Wolfson-Steinberg, was an incredible woman. That word was is still hard for me. Beyond the fact of accepting that my mother has passed, which in and of itself is hard, because her actions and impact are present and continue. So she is an incredible woman today, 3 days ago, 3 years ago, 3 decades ago, and will be 3 days from now, 3 years from now, 3 decades from now, and much more beyond that. My wife reminded me over Shabbat that today I'm facing and trying to accept one of my greatest fears. Waking up to find out Ima passed away while I lived on the other side of the world. Though at least I was awake to find out. So there's that. My father taught me and my sisters how to be independent. But Ima taught us we don't need to be alone to be independent. She was always a social butterfly, be it in her weekly chavruta that I remember at an early age started with Kathy Getzwolf, then going to Rabbi Well on Shabbat or Rabbi Pupko, and most recently with Kathy Campbell and Esther Goldfarb. Or if it was calling her friends from her time in New York, which for the life of me, I still don't understand how she kept those connections and relationships. I think thanks to me seeing that, I knew that it was possible to keep all of those friends, even if we don't talk every day, or even live close to each other. There are likely millions of things I'd like to thank my mother for, but here are a few of the big ones. Thank you for supporting me with making Aliyah. I remember how happy you were for me that I was living my dream and a little bit of yours by building the foundation of my life in Israel. Thank you for teaching me to learn engineering. For those who don't know, in high school, I had a bunch of different careers I wanted to do. The flavor of my junior year was a public defender for the city of Chicago. My mother, worried for my well-being and knowing my hatred for reading, Ima, don't worry, I read books now, I like it. And I can still also, by the way, stop in the middle of the story climax. It doesn't really matter to me, I can go to sleep, book's still there. Told me I should go learn engineering because I liked physics and math. And if I really wanted to be a lawyer, I could be a patent lawyer. Oh, how wise she was. Thank you for teaching me how to bake cookies. Thank you for teaching me that the world isn't as shitty as you may think. Thank you for teaching me the importance of the bracha asher yatzar. Thank you for teaching me that no matter where you are, even after being in hospice, not being able to swallow, and being bedridden, there's still a place to smile. Thank you and Abba for both teaching me to stand up for myself, no matter how weak I think I am, or whether it be physically or emotionally. A song I've been listening to this past week, I think exemplifies and depicts my feelings rather well, so I'm going to share it with you. Bear with me, I'm not going to sing it. I wish that heaven had visiting hours. So I could just show up and bring the news that she's getting older, and I'd wish that you'd met her, that learn the things that she'll learn from me. I got them all from you. Can I just stay a while and we'll put all the world to rights? The little ones that we grow and I'll still drink your favorite wine. And soon they're going to close, but I'll see you another day. So much has changed since you've been away. I wish that heaven had visiting hours so I could just swing by and ask your advice. What would you do in my situation? I haven't a clue how I'd even raise them. What would you do? Because you'd always do what's right. Can we just talk a while until my worries disappear? I tell you that I'm scared of turning out a failure. You'd say, remember that the answers and the love that we create, so much has changed since you've been away. I wish that heaven had visiting hours, and I would ask them if I could take you home. But I don't know what they'd say, that it's for the best. So I'll live life the way you taught me and make it on my own. And I will close the door, but I will open up my heart, and everyone I love will know exactly who you are. Because this is not goodbye, it's just till we meet again. So much has changed since you've been away.
Ask everybody to rise for the Kelmale prayer. El Mole Rachamim, Shochem Bamromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona al Kanfei HaShechina, B'malos Kedoshim Utahorim Kezor Harakia Mazhirim, Es Nishmas Le'Rachel Bas Azriel Avraham Bluma, Shalcha L'Olama, Bavur Shanachnu Mispalim Bad Haskaras Nishmasa, B'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchasa, L'chem Bal Harachamim Yastireha B'Seisa K'nafav Le'Olamim, V'Yitzror B'Tzor HaChaim Es Nishmasa, Adonai Hu Nachalasa, V'Sanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava, V'Nomar Amen.
May be seated for a moment. This concludes the funeral here at the chapel. The interment will take place at Waldheim Cemetery. For those who will be going to the cemetery, we ask that you line up in a parking lot. We'll place a magnetic flag on your vehicle and have your headlights and hazard lights on while in procession. We also ask that you drive as close as safety permits to the vehicle in front of you. The Shiva times are on our website. If you joined us via Zoom, you'll have that information on the website. If you came to the funeral, all that information is on the service folder that you received when you arrived. The following individuals have been asked to act as pallbearers. As I call your name, please come forward. Larry Garfield, Elazar Weiner, Yoni Fleischer, Ellie Cooper, Dennis Berg, Danny Myers, and Bill Steinberg. If we can all rise and remain standing as we escort the caskets from the chapel. Once we have left the chapel, we ask everybody to go immediately to their vehicles.